Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headline.
It wasn't an explosive start. It began as a soft murmur. A murmur in Westminster. A hint that something monumental was on the horizon. Not a sensational tabloid outburst, nor an exuberant Instagram crusade. It was a motion, an authentic one, made within the venerable House of Lords, the world's oldest democratic assembly.
Is still using her HRH title despite agreeing to drop the title when the Sussexes left royal duties. How is Will planning to deal with this?
Yes, this was no longer about public indignation. It had evolved into institutional retribution. Meghan Markle, known by her title as the Duchess of Sussex, might soon find herself stripped of any Duchess title at all as the gears of British authority turned decisively against her. This wasn't sparked by a scandal or even a leak destined for the headlines. Rather, it began quietly, a whisper meandering through Westminster's hallowed corridors.
Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH. Now, royal fans will know in 2020, during the negotiations for Harry and Meghan to leave royal duties, it was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals.
That whisper has now erupted into a resounding motion, the first of its kind since Megxit, where the British aristocracy has effectively declared war on Meghan Markle. The House of Lords has formally introduced a petition aimed at permanently stripping her of the Duchess of Sussex title. And this time, it's not merely symbolic, it is legislative in intent, dismantling everything she once believed she could retain. It all started with an idea that many had once dismissed as mere fantasy. The House of Lords has officially accepted and debated a petition to revoke Meghan Markle's titles.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. And there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
The petition claims that Meghan has diminished the sovereign dignity of a trusted title. This is no longer merely an internal family dispute. It has become a matter of law and executive authority. Parliament is stepping in to enforce consequences where Buckingham Palace has been unwilling. What finally spurred the Lords into action? It was the recent unofficial royal tour of Nigeria. Meghan and Harry made their rounds at events, garbed in traditional attire and hosted by high-ranking military and government figures, all under the innocent guise of a private cultural journey. Yet, make no mistake, it was a royal tour in every aspect except in name. Photo opportunities with generals and speeches extolling British heritage showcased them as if they were still on active crown duty. Whitehall reacted with outrage. Government officials were caught off guard. Insiders report that both the Foreign Office and Buckingham Palace were neither informed nor consulted. This unsanctioned diplomatic maneuver is precisely why the House of Lords described the Nigeria trip as unauthorized diplomatic posturing that imperils the Crown's neutrality abroad.
For hours since the release of Harry and Meghan's bombshell Netflix documentary, and the papers have been reacting overnight. Oh boy, have they been reacting. The pair are dominating the front pages. One Conservative MP said that he is planning to bring forward legislation in an attempt to strip the Duke and Duchess of Sussex of their
The House of Lords is not isolated in its actions. They are responding to a swell of public frustration. A May 2025 YouGov poll indicates that an overwhelming 77% of Britons believe Meghan should forfeit the Duchess of Sussex title. This isn't a narrow margin, it's a landslide, marking the highest level of anti-Sussex sentiment ever recorded.
Changed my mind on things, but I don't want them to be stripped of it, but I think I now understand they're trying to do, I think that would really be validated if they said, this institution isn't for us. We love our family, but we would like to hand these back. And I think that would be incredible.
Even more striking, 61% of those polled think that Harry should also lose his titles, including his Royal Highness designation. But at the moment, the spotlight is on Meghan, the lightning rod for controversy, commercial exploitation, and institutional embarrassment. Recall the infamous Beyoncé moment, where, in a viral video, Meghan laughed and declared, "You know, I'm Sussex now," even suggesting Mindy Kaling call her Meghan Sussex. What appeared to many as an offhand quip was interpreted by the House of Lords as confirmation that Meghan regards her title as nothing more than a branding tool, a punchline. The petition specifically cites that incident, referring to it as a callous trivialization of sovereign designations.
Do you think they might be?
They could be. I mean, it really depends on the next part of the documentary and what it shows, doesn't it? You know,
because we haven't had the shock
factor yet. I feel really sad about it, to be honest. I feel sad that we've got to this point. I think they could have made a lot of differences.
I wish.
Royal scholars across the United Kingdom now contend that such public misuse might breach the principles outlined in the 1917 Royal Titles Act, which prohibits title holders from exploiting their status for commercial or performative gains. The Lords examined the footage, as did officials in Whitehall, and the judgment was unanimous. If Meghan aspires to be merely an influencer, she cannot simultaneously wear the mantle of a duchess. This petition is merely the opening salvo. Meghan Markle's royal narrative is disintegrating under the strain of her own branding machine.
It would not be a good move, because we need to try and cool the temperature. We need to try and kind of understand, what is this all about? And that was my big thing with watching 3 hours of it last night. 3 hours. I thought,
won't get them back, Kate.
I thought, what are they trying to say? And I wasn't even quite sure. What did they say to you?
Unlike the tabloids or the endless stream of royal gossip, this development comes directly from the heart of British governance. The monarchy has remained reticent. The king has declined to act. But the House of Lords has made itself heard, and loudly so. For Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex title may soon become a historical footnote, rescinded by law. While her defenders cry foul with accusations of sexism and racism, the matter has now turned constitutional.
They've moved to America, they've got their house, they've got their kids over there, so they're not really part of our...
I don't think it's even that they don't deserve it, it's just they don't want to live it. If you don't want to live it, then what's the point?
It will make what they're saying more authentic, because I think it is authentic, but you can't say all of that and then keep those titles. I think of her as an actress, and I remember when I was in a relationship years ago, everything I did and said, whether I cried, whether I joked, this boyfriend of mine would say, well, you're an actress.
As if you were fake.
So I think, as if it was fake. So I feel that she's also a bit awkward and watching everything that she's saying, so that doesn't play well to people. But
The House of Lords is not driven by tabloid sensationalism. It stands on tradition, legal precedent, and centuries of royal protocol. Its current aim is squarely directed at the Sussex title, with several key points in the petition detailing her alleged misconduct. One of the gravest accusations involves her repeated violations of the Royal Communications Protocol, a centuries-old code meant to prevent royals from making unauthorized international statements. Meghan's podcast, for example, is specifically named as she frequently invoked her royal past to promote private ventures, made unverified claims about the royal family's treatment of her child and her own mental health struggles, and accused an unnamed family member of racism.
3 white siblings and then 2 mixed-race siblings that I got to know later in life. All I am is a country bumpkin from Kent. I don't know any different, and I didn't grow up thinking about that difference. And when you looked at it from her point of view, she said that I got, if I wasn't Dame Kelly Holmes' double Olympic champion, based on the colour of my skin, as opposed to people understanding my cultural background. I don't know any different than being a Kent white girl. From what I see and what I know, because everyone around me was white. This is a normal environment.
Although Buckingham Palace has long kept its counsel, Parliament is not bound by the same constraints. The Lords argue that her comments made while still holding the title caused significant diplomatic embarrassment and damaged the monarchy's reputation throughout the Commonwealth. This is not a matter of free speech, but rather the misuse of a title associated with royal privilege to launch personal attacks against an institution unable to defend itself. The petition goes on to condemn what it describes as the blatant commercialization of a sovereign title. Meghan and Harry's deals with Spotify and Netflix were more than just content arrangements. They were meticulously marketed as part of the Sussex brand. Indeed, the Netflix docuseries in 2022 even opened with appearances by the Duke and Duchess in royal iconography. Attempts to trademark Archewell and Sussex Royal as global brands only ended when the Queen personally intervened. The House of Lords labels these moves as unauthorized commercial exploitation of noble status, potentially justifying legislative action to remove the title. Simply put, she transformed royalty into a reality show, and Parliament took notice. Next comes the charge that Meghan has effectively turned a noble title into nothing more than a tabloid punchline. The petition recounts her frequent media appearances, paparazzi chases, and even an often recounted car chase in New York, described by the NYPD as exaggerated. While Meghan and Harry portray themselves as victims, they are simultaneously keeping the media circus alive, which the Lords see as a deliberate spectacle undermining the dignity of British titles. They contrast her actions with those of lesser royals, like Princess Alexandra, who have led modest public lives without ever appearing on Netflix or in a podcast. The message is clear. One cannot claim victimhood while constructing a media empire on a title that is meant to be honorary. By holding private meetings with military leaders, attending public functions in traditional Nigerian attire, and using her title during speeches, Meghan blurred the line between personal advocacy and representing British diplomacy. This behavior invites international confusion over British foreign policy, particularly given that neither Buckingham Palace nor the Foreign Office was consulted. Critics warn that such actions undermine the monarchy's constitutional role as a neutral symbol of the state. In essence, she operated as if she were an official royal without permission, oversight, or accountability. Parliament has now decided to step in. Meghan Markle's royal fantasy has collided with British law, and in this courtroom of peers and power, noble titles are earned and must be treated with the reverence they deserve. The next phase could see the Duchess of Sussex title erased, not through scandal, but by statute. The House of Lords even references the notorious Oprah interview, where Meghan leveled unsubstantiated allegations of racism within the royal family and allowed public perception to spiral into a narrative that portrayed the monarchy as colonial and oppressive. The Lords described this as inciting public animosity toward the crown, while still enjoying the privileges of a peerage title. That title, granted by the sovereign, implies responsibility, not liberty, to launch international character assassinations. Rather than retreating, Meghan exploded onto the scene, and according to Parliament, that isn't protected speech. It's institutional sabotage. The final and perhaps most damning charge centers not only on Meghan's actions, but also on the reaction of the British public, as evidenced by polls, petitions, and mounting discontent. The Lords argue that a private American citizen's continued use of the Duchess of Sussex title devalues the British honor system. Consider a woman residing in Montecito, featuring in documentaries and gracing red carpets with celebrities. Clearly, not someone who embodies the representation of the British people or the crown. They deem it a mockery of noble rank, perpetually commercialized for personal profit, and defiant of its ceremonial purpose. The title has morphed into a brand, a logo, a Netflix franchise. And herein lies the issue. If the crown cannot uphold the sanctity of these titles, it risks not just its credibility, but its very control. The petition has accomplished what years of quiet discontent could not. It has drawn a definitive line in the sand. Meghan Markle may have built an empire on the symbolism of the Duchess of Sussex. But if the House of Lords prevails, that foundation is poised to disintegrate. This is not merely a royal reckoning, it is a constitutional eviction. Thus, the murmurs have become a battle cry. What started as a simmering public discontent has now erupted into a formal petition at the highest echelons of government, a constitutional measure to sever Meghan Markle from the remaining remnants of royal prestige. This isn't about personal vendettas. It's about restoring the honor of the monarchy, safeguarding the sanctity of its titles, and preserving the dignity of an institution that has weathered world wars, abdications, and scandals. Now, that dignity is at risk of being tarnished by a Hollywood Duchess-turned self-styled feminist disruptor. Meghan and Harry sought freedom, a life outside the palace gates, unburdened by duty and protocol. The crown granted them that freedom. But what followed was not tranquility. It was profit, exposure, and a relentless chase for headlines, podcasts, and Netflix tell-alls that critiqued the very institution they once belonged to.